Okay, now we've got the exhaust pipe welded in. We've got that smoothed out. We found most of our leaks. There's some little leaks around these from the exhaust, but that's okay. A little bit of air leak on the exhaust isn't going to hurt. Now I've cut in the exhaust pipe here, so our manifold is here. The exhaust comes in, bumps into the end cap, recirculates out through the back and outside the bubbler. So that's what our rig looks like right now. This will be the other tube that I don't have on there right now, but that'll be going to the bubbler. So that's what we've got. You see this end here, it still needs to be welded to the fitting, and the exhaust tube needs to be welded. So I've still got to do one more trial fit, one final trial fit to line up my bubbler exactly right with the exhaust tightened up on the gasket and the carburetor and all these fittings tight. So once we have all the fittings tight and ready to go, we'll do another trial fit. Alright, the exhaust outlet is put on now. You can see I just got done welding that. Now the weld's not real pretty. You welders out there are probably laughing at me looking at all that nasty globule on there, but hey, this is what I got to weld with. Flux core. So you guys that are professional welders that got all this good stuff talking to people like us with these Camel House felds for $100, give me a break. So I'll grind that down, get her looking good, and then do our trial fit and resume there. Alright, we're back. Now we've got the resonator installed. You can see I have the exhaust tube coming out there. The couplings are all tight. Everything's thread taped. I can't stress enough having all the fittings tight as you go in order to keep from having to readjust. I had to make a thicker gasket on the carburetor to give myself a little bit more space. So there you have it. I have my exhaust done. I got my couplings tight. I got my bubbler mounted to the couplings. It's actually just sitting on the plate there that the motor is mounted to. But it'll have a rubber gasket underneath it, actually a silicone gasket underneath it. And then you can see from the front here, I don't have the valve on front right now, but I do have the other valve on there. And then you can see the intake there, which will probably have a filter put on it later. But for right now, I can just run it like that. That's fine. Now the welds, you might see that there's some slag buildup around these welds. Now there's not much I could do about that because I don't have a tool that can get down in there between the pipes. So I'm just going to leave that. And I know that there's a little bit of an exhaust leak around that, but the exhaust escaping is fine. What really needs to be sealed up are the tubes that go from the carburetor to the bubbler, and then from the bubbler to the intake. You know, those two tubes, the vacuum will be on, and they can't leak. The most important one is the one from the bubbler to the carburetor. That has to be completely airtight, and as you can see, I've thread taped everything really good. And I go one complete turn after it's tight. After I can't turn it by hand anymore, I go one complete turn. So just so you know, this is what it looks like mounted on the engine. and you can see that that fits underneath the top. It actually fits inside the existing compartment. So next is going to be plumbing the recirculation for, so next exhaust and then back in to the bubbler so that we have continuous vaporizer effect going from the bottom of our bubbler around the exhaust and back into the bubbler, so that we can vaporize anything that's in there by running it around that muffler and back in. Alright, we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, here we have our completed resonator. You can see the exhaust is done. Everything's welded up. All the intake fittings are taped or welded. You can see how the two ends go together, those unions, which gives you a little bit of room for error. And you can see the intake has been ground flat. Now I got a little hot on one edge there, but that's made to match up on the carburetor, and the exhaust is made to match up too. So when we put this on, let's see if I can set the camera here. This will go on
just like so. Gaskets are in place.
Then it's just a matter of hooking up the carburetor and then tightening up the couplings. And that's what it'll look like. We need to put the carburetor in there. As you can see, I made a little thicker gasket and gave myself a little room to play with. So next is going to be painting and sealing up any leaks with hopefully with primer. Make sure that that stays airtight. So next thing you see would be something assembled and painted.